In this venue lesson, we're going to drill down onto two areas, supermarkets and community-supported agriculture. Let's start with supermarkets. So just in all, fairness and umbrella, I'm generally negative on supermarkets. And here's why. First of all, you've got slotting fees. Lots of times they actually want you to pay something for the privilege of putting something on a shelf. And remember, they have every single square foot of that shelf space, they have a minimum requirement for movement. The next thing is they're slow to pay. A lot of people don't realize that these big supermarkets often have a 90-day pay schedule. Well, can you afford a 90-day pay schedule? Chances are the feed for your chickens is going to have to be paid in 30 days, not 90 days. It's hard to get access. I know for years when we've had, especially like in the spring, got extra eggs, and I've tried to contact a supermarket. I've never even been able to talk to a person. You get robots and you get press ones and twos, and nobody ever calls you back. You never get to talk to a person. And then packaging is real picky. I remember when we got asked to, we didn't ask them, they asked us, came to us, Whole Foods, asked us to go in with eggs to Whole Foods. And I looked at all the the eggs they had in their meat case or egg case, and I noticed they were all really trifold plastic, 4 colors, sexy labels and all this stuff, and I know what that costs. And we use just pulp, cardboard boxes is what we use. It's cheap and it's all it decomposes. It's environmentally friendly. Lots of reasons to use a cheap package. Literally, I think it was 30 days to the days we get the call. You got to change your packaging. Are they selling? Yeah, they're selling, but it just doesn't match our other, sophisticated looking packaging. I said, okay, we're out. So we pulled out. And then the final element is just the liability exposure. It's risky. Those supermarkets, you have no connection to those customers. They're strictly buying off a label, and there's no relationship, there's no knowledge generally, and so there's a real if something isn't right, nobody's forgiving there, or very few people are very forgiving there. It's very risky for liability. So if you get into one, just remember the benchmark is no more than 10% of your income should come from a single store. I could take up a couple more of these sessions telling you stories of people that I know that have built their business on a supermarket, grocery store type thing, and it was like half of their income, and then suddenly they lose that venue, that client, and suddenly they're out of business. Next, community-supported agriculture, often known as CSAs. These are box schemes. These are where people pre-purchase a year's supply. They actually are not purchasing product. They're investing in the farm, and from their investment, the dividend is a weekly box of something. It's especially common in produce. You get this box of produce each week. So here are the negatives of the CSA, and we'll go to the positives, trust me. But the negatives are that it's non-customized. I'm going to put this stuff in a box, and you're going to like it. And so what happens is, a lot of times, when I get a bunch of arugula or beets or kohlrabi, in my box, and I don't want to eat it, or I don't know what to do with it, or whatever, then a lot of it gets thrown out. Whereas when you're cherry picking what you want to buy, you're buying things that you want to eat. So there's always this tension between what I want to produce and my creativity on my farm and my mix of things, and what I think needs to be done, versus the customer's desire to, well, I only want to buy what I'm going to eat and what I'm going to use. And of course, it's hard to satisfy individual interests. I've talked about that due to the fact that it's non-customized. It's hard to satisfy all those individual interests of people. You're just trying to hit a general pattern, and there's going to be a lot of waste through the program. And so it takes a high educational level to push trials. Lots of recipes, lots of hand-holding, lots of coaching, a really high educational level. And because of all this, the CSA pool, the pool of people who are interested in purchasing a CSA, is relatively small. And so CSA, yes, does it have a place? Sure it does. But it has some real problems. Now, the positives of CSA. Prepay. Yeah, you get your money up front, so you get operating capital to plant seeds, buy chickens, buy feed, whatever. That's the beauty of it. You do get prepay. Probably the single biggest positive of CSAs is that it's not in commerce, and this has gone through the courts numerous times. So there's a great legal precedent here that it's non-commerce. What does that mean? Well, that means that a true CSA is not a sale. That means you don't have to collect sales tax. That means you don't have any liability. You don't have to carry product liability insurance. You don't have to go through inspection. So there's a lot. I think the single biggest advantage to the CSA is that it has been ruled a non-sale. Well, why is that? Well, it's because if I fail to give you your box this week, you can't come back and say, hey, look, I want my money back. I paid, $535 for, a box every week this summer, and you didn't give it to me. I want my money back. Doesn't work that way. The CSA, community-supported agriculture, the whole idea is it is community-supported as opposed to I'm in business and you're a customer and I'm selling to you. Instead, you're investing in the farm. And if I invest in stocks and bonds and they go south or the company goes bankrupt, I can't get my money back. So the risk, the shared risk on the buyer's part, on the customer's part, that shared risk means that it comes outside of a sale. And finally, the positive of a CSA is that it's smooth inventory control. You can look way out there, 6 months, 12 months. I've got these members. These members, I know that, I need to have, 2 chickens, 3 pounds of ground beef, whatever's in a box, tomatoes, I know that I've got this way out there. So it's a wonderful way to smooth out your inventory control. So when you do a meat CSA, obviously you take it eliminates inventory salvage problems like we've talked about in previous lessons, because everybody's going to get some pork spare ribs whether they like it or not. Everybody's going to get some beef short ribs whether they like it or not, and that eliminates all of your inventory problems. The tension, of course, is your people have to be educated enough to try short ribs and try spare ribs and do these other things. So there's no free lunch here, but there are some real positives in the CSA model, and we don't have one right now. I've thought about it, but so far we've been able to go with a cherry pick choice option, and that has worked for us. But I'm always enamored and appreciate people who have been successful in the CSA space because there are some real advantages there. So supermarkets generally, CSA, they can work as long as you can work with your client base and work through those tensions.